Gina. Is it pronounced
Hi.
Gina?
Yes. Hi.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Hi, Neil.
Hey, just trying to find my webcam thing there.
All right. Well, Gina, you're new. It's your first time here. Welcome. We'll have you just introduce yourself. Just let us know who you are, where you're from, and how you found us.
My name is Gina, and I am originally from Colorado, but I live in Omaha, Nebraska. And I finished reading this book right around, I don't know, the middle of December. And this is something that I came across when I was looking for my next book, my next self-help book. Um,
And
just
what
something
book
that
are
I,
and what book are you talking about?
the Awaken to Your True Self.
Okay.
So I found that just looking for something else to aid in my self and my personal and my spiritual development and came across it. And it really resonated with me in a lot of different ways. I've read a lot of different books and have read some of the same concepts and things, in different situations and worded differently. But um, your book really resonated with me. So I saw that there was a group here and wanted to join a community that was like-minded. And so thanks for having me. Thanks for doing this.
Great. You're welcome. It's good to have you. Anything from the book that stood out to you? Anything that was like, oh, okay, this is making a big difference.
Well, I mean, there's a lot, but I think one of the things that has really stuck out and something that has really helped me in the last month as I've just had some struggles with personal relationships. And I think the part about being able to feel it all, I think in the past, I have just tried to numb myself with alcohol or prescription drugs. This year, actually, I've done a lot of inner work in 2024 and got off of antidepressants. Um, and so I've just been, I don't know, I started taking antidepressants when I was like 17 years old and have been on them ever since. And I remember when I first started them feeling like, just felt like they were dampening me. And,
Yeah.
uh, but it was a way that I didn't have to feel. So it worked and for the time being, it was fine. And so now I'm just finally able to feel everything and move through things as opposed to, like I said, just numbing and kind of going through the motions.
It's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. That that stuff, it's I it works in air quotes, and we do what we do with what we know and we do the best that we do. Um, but it's very clear that a lot of the things that we're told are solutions aren't actually solutions. They just help us get by. They don't actually address anything. So I don't know how many years it was, but it sounds like it was quite a bit. So um, that's an amazing thing for you to do. Any so oh, we just dive right in here, and if it's too forward or intense, you just say I'll wait or just tell us later. But even though this is a free call, you can ask anybody here. We do what we can to actually help people. So, what is what has been the major thing that you have not wanted to feel?
So back in, sorry,
No apologies needed. That's what we're here for.
so back in 2019, um, I had been married for 10 years, and I, at the time, had 3-year-old twins, and found out that my husband had been having an affair for 3 years with someone that he worked with. Um, and so started the process of getting a divorce, tried to work through things. And actually, one of the things in your book that has got me to think about things differently is the whole part about narcissism, because he actually is, I don't know that he's been clinically diagnosed as a narcissist, um, but is textbook narcissist, in all the ways of gaslighting and um, just the lack of empathy and feeling like he's always a victim and just blaming me and projecting onto me. Um, and so during that time, that was at the end, that was 2019. So then we moved into 2020. I was in the process of starting a business and I mean, threw myself into work, but then 2020 happened and then I just drank a lot and was just numbing. Um, so it's been a while. And just recently in October, um, my ex-husband had said that he wanted to, like, we reconnected um, at a spiritual retreat. We both went independently and reconnected with each other. And he said that he wanted to see if we could work things out. And his father was sick and passed away in the middle of November. And so he's from Atlanta. And so we were trying to figure out whether or not we would stay in Omaha or move to Atlanta. And basically, what I've concluded is that he was trying to get me to move to Atlanta and was using me and said that he wanted to get back together, um, but then cheated on me again. And it's just reopened a lot of the pain that was there that I never fully resolved. And so just going through that again and just feeling, I know, stupid and that I fell for it again. Um, but then also feeling like that was the biggest gift that I could have gotten, even though it was wrapped in shit. Um, because now I know for sure that it's not meant to be. And through the inner work that I've done and through the book of just knowing my worth and being able to love myself, um, and being able to really move through the pain this time instead of numbing. And so, and then allowing space for someone new or just other positive things to come into my life.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, it's a lot. Sorry. Like, I don't even know anyone's name.
Well, this is what we do here.
And I just got off the phone. I FaceTime my girls. They're with their dad. And um yeah, and he has that other woman there with
Mm.
my kids. So lots of emotions.
Well, what I invite people to do in this work is to feel them. Not necessarily fun. Kind of sucks
No,
sometimes.
it's been really hard. It's been the hardest thing that I've probably ever done because I'm actually feeling it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it takes tremendous courage because it is sometimes some of the hardest things that we ever do. And it's so easy to check out, to disconnect, to numb, to suppress, to avoid. And when you finally say, nope, I'm going to face this stuff, there's a backlog. But the good news is that it's, even though it may feel never ending, um, you know, you will get through the other side if you keep feeling
Yeah.
through it, because that feeling is there to teach you something. Um, it's there to provide an opportunity for transformation. It's very hard to transform when you suppress everything and you just sit and uh, drink and watch Netflix and check out from life.
Mhm.
There's not a lot of transformation that occurs, but when you're out there living it, experiencing and feeling both the amazing things and both the awful things. Um, so thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anybody else have anything that they'd like to share? Or how do I say this? Not feedback, because this is not a feedback group, but if there's anything you'd like to just reflect, um, that's okay.
Um, I've actually been through betrayal trauma fairly recently as well, and had that same experience of feeling like I was an idiot for going back and giving too many chances. And um, what I've come to the realization about is that it wasn't on me for trusting necessarily. It was on him for taking advantage of that trust with me. So I've had to give myself a lot of compassion to be able to move through this. I'm still not done. I mean, it was a very deep wound, but I've learned a lot about myself, and it actually got me into therapy for the first time since I was in grad school. And there have been some positives that came out of it, but like you said, the gift wrapped in shit, I really, really resonated with that. That was very aptly put. So, um, unfortunately, I understand a lot of what you might be going through. I don't have kids or anything, but the narcissism and the gaslighting and all that, I've unfortunately lived that through and through. So I'm sorry you're going through that too.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, it's incredible how our traumas initiate us. If I just lived, I realized this years ago before I even started doing this level of work. I realized that if I just had an average life and things were just okay, and I had some friends and I played some okay sports and I went to an okay college and I had an okay job and I had an okay relationship, and if everything was just sort of okay, I would not be where I am now. I would not have learned what I've learned, because what propelled me into learning all of this was my life didn't fucking work. I couldn't get girls. I had no friends. I was lonely. I was suicidal. I was depressed. I hated myself. I had no confidence. Um, I was homeless. A black sheep, outcast. Um, pretty much like nothing worked. Not at all. Uh, not all of it at once. There were times where I made some money and had some relationships, and then I was homeless, and then so it's been a wild journey, but each of those because of my choice. So this is the important thing to understand. At the end of the book, when I talk about stop, feel, tell the truth, take responsibility, make a new choice, that formula is so important. It just if that's all people did and like actually did it, not what they thought it was, but if they actually had my definitions and followed my definitions and did it that way, it would take care of 80-90% of stuff just from that. And so when you can tell the truth about what happened, you can stop the old behaviors, you can feel everything, then you take responsibility for as much as you can, then you make a new choice. These traumas, these wounds, these dysfunctions, the ego, that is the initiation to the hero's journey. And there's a version of it called, the healer's journey. Um, so for a lot of us in this work, not everybody, but for many of us, the dysfunctions and the wounds and the traumas and the suffering is it's the fertile soil to heed the call to adventure. It's not necessarily the call, it's the conflict, it's the problem that brings forth that call, and that call to adventure is the thing that calls forth us and our spirit to go. And when I say adventure, that's what you're on. That's what we're all on here, right? It's a layer, a version of the hero's journey of healing, of saying, okay, this happened to me. Okay, stop feeling all that thing. Now what? Well, I'm going to make a new choice. I'm going to learn from this. I'm going to heal my self-esteem. I'm going to embody this wisdom. I'm not going to let myself be manipulated. I'm not going to manipulate other people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And uh, it can take you to the most amazing place. Now, doesn't make it less sucky, doesn't make it less hurtful. It doesn't make it necessarily feel any better. I'm not here to convince anyone that what's happened to them or is happening to them is any less than it is, unless with the caveat that they're inflating it, that they're in a story, that they're creating suffering around that, etc. But that's not the actual hurt and the pain. That actual hurt and pain, someone's actual experience. Um, just because you know this stuff doesn't mean that never happens. It means that you know what it's about. You understand. You say, okay, this happened. Okay, well, how do I take responsibility? How do I feel? What's in here? What are the stories? And so it's kind of the cliche quote, but it applies here too of the wound is where the light enters. And so a gift wrapped in shit, right? The silver lining, however we want to call it. Eventually you start seeing, oh, it doesn't mean anything. Oh, it just is. Part of this work is moving beyond good and bad. Doesn't mean we can't see it. Doesn't mean we don't have morals or ethics. Doesn't mean that we orient ourselves to the things that actually improve our life. They don't necessarily feel good all the time, like working out or taking Shilajit, doing healing, feeling stuff. But no longer being at the effect of trying to orient ourselves into a direction that avoids all negativity. Um, because then you miss out on half of life. And some of the things that we think are negative, like both of your experiences, um, we don't know what that initiates. We don't know what that sets in motion into the world. And that's why I have in the book the story of the Chinese farmer. We'll see. We'll find out. So part of your finding out is it initiated you into an healing process. Both of you, actually. Yeah, me too. Probably everyone here. Go ahead, Neil. Yeah, I know I can feel you just chomping at the bit.
um, but what do you do like when like some things in your life are working just well enough, right, that you don't want to change? Like it's gonna take a lot of effort and hard work, to change, and it works just well enough that you don't want to change. You can feel the parts that don't work well, but the hard work involved with changing, is also not very exciting. And so what do you do?
What's the vision? What's the vision? No, not specifically, right? What's your vision? Is it worth it? What do you value? I saw a little clip of an interview on a Jordan Peterson podcast with some country singer guy here in Nashville. I'm like, oh, Nashville, that's where I'm at. And he talked about I mean, he's had hits on the radio. Rich Ricks, I don't know. And he was talking about how he was part of um, he had record labels, record deals with all these labels and everything. And these record labels are just like Universal, Sony, Warner. It's literally all the same things. And so he was sharing that he, after I think, I mean, we're talking like 30, 40 years in the industry, had everything he wanted, cut whatever for anybody. I mean, it was just dream come true. And what started happening is that the manager and the label started saying, well, we'd prefer if you probably didn't go to that venue. You know what? That's probably not the kind of music that people want to hear right now. You know what? It's probably best if you don't talk about that on social media. We'd actually like you to. Right. So this started happening. And he said, oh, for a while, he obliged. Then his two young boys started to become old enough to be aware of what was going on. And he said, when I realized that my sons were looking to me for what I did in this situation, when they're older, when they're 20, 30, 40, and they have to make the same choice, what are they going to do? Well, they're going to do what dad did and just rolled over, took it, and just took the paycheck and didn't follow his integrity. So he said that's what did it. And so for him, his integrity of what he was teaching his sons, what he stood for of saying, nope, I want to talk about this. I want to sing about this. I want to write about this. I don't want to be suppressed and sell out to this this machine that goes against my values. He realized that he was not practicing what he was preaching, and so he went off of it, and so he went independent, um, and uh, said that he would never go back for anything. That now he has the freedom. Now he's in integrity, and the people that show up support him more than ever. Um, so I found that a perfect example of this, very fitting for you too, because you're a musician. But he did the hard thing. He made the hard change, the hard choice, because his integrity and what he was teaching his children was worth that sacrifice. So you have to ask yourself, what's your vision? Back to the book, right? Your vision. What do you stand for? There's like a few pages. It's not like a huge crazy thing. There's a few pages in there about what do you stand for? I think it's in the same chapter around your vision, I believe. It's kind of one that gets lost a little bit. I find almost nobody references it or really talks about it, but it's in there for a reason. What do you stand for? Look around you, right? What you see around you is a reflection of what you've stood for the past however many years of your life. And a lot of us aren't happy with that. Say, no, 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 no. Well, I did this. Okay, well, you stand for taking the easy way out. You stand for mediocrity. You stood for um, letting yourself be comfortable. It's not good. It's not bad. It's not right or wrong. I'm not here to tell you what you should stand for. I'll sit here or stand here and invite and offer things that I feel are universally going to lead everyone to a better life. There's nothing in my book that if you adapt and take on, your life is going to get in the big picture worse. Now, in the short term, it might suck, right? You know, in the short term, you might start having to feel all of the stuff that you've been suppressing, right, Gina? But in the long term, everything gets better. So I am not offering belief systems. I don't say you need to believe what I believe. I offer things that, in my experience, and in every single person that I've seen adopt them correctly, not weird distortions, because we've talked about this before. You can have these distorted definitions and think you're doing it, and it doesn't work. And you say, well, that fucking shit doesn't work. Oh, being vulnerable doesn't work. But believing people, giving people chances, that doesn't work. I got screwed over. Trusting people doesn't work. Yeah, because you've done it at an incorrect, order. So what I talk about in the book, those things to stand for are universal principles, truths. So I'll conclude this answer with a phrase. Um, Again, these sort of universal phrases. Um, Easy choices, hard life. Hard choices, easy life. We can't hear you, Darun. We can't hear you. You're unmuted, but we can't hear you. Or I can't hear you at least. Yeah. Anybody else while he's sorting that out? Neil, what are you hearing?
I'm hearing that
Curtain, curtain.
Oh,
Hmm?
hey, I can hear you.
Good. We can hear you.
I was just
Oh,
gonna
you
say that
can.
I'm hearing that I don't have a clear enough vision. Go, Darun.
No, no, no. Finish off your thought. That's
That's it.
actually it. Okay.
That's all I wanted to say, yeah. I just don't have a
Yeah.
clear enough vision. That's what I'm realizing.
What about what you
Yeah.
stand for? What about what you value?
Yeah, I'm not living my life in line with what I value, and I not being bold and courageous, in some ways, and yeah, sucks.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
You could just live the next 50 years of your life in this small little room and no one will remember you and you won't do anything, and that's okay. Or you can go out and take us to Jupiter. Cool. Doesn't mean anything. It took me only fucking 35 years to to figure that out. I just thought it meant so much. And then once you can penetrate that, you can be at peace with it, then whatever actually does mean something can just fucking go through you. And then it becomes something I call choice, no choice. It's like you have the choice. Like for me, I have the choice to teach this and to write this book and write more books and get this out in the world or not. I could just go and program again. I could go, be homeless again. I could go get a job at the grocery store, flipping burgers. I could go do that burger flipping job. And I don't have the choice. I don't have a choice. Like this is what wants to come through me. It's that tug, that pull, that mutual arising that we have free will. But then when you have something that's just in you and you just can't not do it, the thing that every day you wake up and you don't do it for the next 80 years until you are dying on your deathbed, that is biting at you, that says, do it. That's kind of like the no choice thing. But we're still at choice. So why I say that is because it's very easy to become a victim to destiny, to purpose, right? The whole stuff about having purpose. Yeah. But we don't want to be a victim to it. It's not like there's some pantheon of gods up there that's like, all right, get Neil to do this. We're getting Heather to do that. Oh, yes, okay. Right. Because you see this a lot in religions where they're just like, use me, I am worthless and nothing. Just let me be your pawn. And it's like a few degrees off of use me. I'm here. Let thine will be mine. Right. But you can feel the difference just in when I did it. It's like your true self, the will of your true self and the will of God is the same will. But when you separate yourself and you create this hierarchy and you put it up on a pedestal and you lower yourself and you feel guilty and shamed and need to be punished and you have no value and all this wacky stuff, you become a victim. And then oftentimes you're not really used by the thing that you want to be used. You're usually used by narcissists, sociopaths, psychopaths, cult leaders, things like that. So it's really dangerous when you take these sentiments like surrendering and let God use me, and I want to be a vessel or vehicle or channel, because those are actually super, super, super high, like mega powerful stuff. The people at the highest levels in the world, holistically, are doing that. The people kind of in the most suffering, a lot of those people are doing it too, but they're doing that. They're not, it's not actually that thing, it's more of the victim thing, the self-abandonment. You can't abandon yourself and hope to be rescued by the divine, because that's the divine abandoning itself. It's just this complete distortion and misunderstanding of the whole spiritual order. So in relation to purpose and what you stand for and what you have to do in your vision in life, when that's aligned with to that true self, it's like choice, no choice. It's like, yeah, I'm not a victim to it. No one's making me do this. I can do anything else and be okay. But I just, I have to do it. Versus, I'm burdened. I'm burdened. This is my cross to bear. Oh, I'm so burdened by my duty and obligation to, it's just like, so you can feel. Maybe you can't, but I'm offering these embodied feeling differences between these different places. Does this make sense, guys? Go ahead, Neil, Darun, Neil. So, what do you stand for in your life? What's and you just maybe you don't know. Maybe you just need to take some time and just get really clear on what you value and what you stand for. And probably what's going to happen, what I'm feeling with you, not to get into feedback, but you're a client, so th this applies to many of us, is that there's a difference, there's a dissonance because of our suffering. There's a certain suffering you're in. So if you can move through the suffering, it's going to teach you, it's going to show you and allow you to access what you really stand for. But when you feel, let's say, sorry for yourself, when you feel crappy, when you make it mean something, when we have these judgments, when we don't feel enough, when we feel like we're disappointing ourselves and God and the world or whatever it is, that is going to make it hard to access those things we stand for and say, not going to fucking do that. Here I go. Nothing's going to stop me. And when you feel that, you see those people in the world, they stand for something. You don't even have to agree. There's a lot of people where I'm like, you're out of your fucking mind. But I respect that you are fucking standing for it. I'm not going to buy into it because what I stand for, I'm more aligned. And so you're not going to manipulate me or sway me. But people that don't stand for stuff, they get pulled by someone who has a stronger frame. Whether that's an abuser, a manipulator, a tyrant, a messiah, whatever. The news, our parents. Okay. I see, I know you're up against some stuff, so that's okay.
Yeah.
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 So, anybody else on this topic?
No, I think Neil, you've really the questions and where you put yourself, your position where you put yourself in it, I think mirrors where I think I am as well, in the sense that I'm asking questions about, what choices to make, the hard choices, and then it really is apparent that I'm trying to figure out what choices to make, but the reality is I don't even know, or at least have not a crystallized vision. And I think the vision will drive the choices. And I'm expecting like, oh, let's see what choices do I need to make. If I'm talking about the choices area, it's really apparent that there's no vision that will make the choice very compelling. You know, if Yeah, so that kind of crystallized with me, and I think I've been asking Andrew, in our previous call, Andrew, like, oh, about choices, but it really is, what the fuck's my vision?
Well, you
Yeah,
touched on something great. Um,
yeah,
is that if you have a vision and you stand for stuff, you're not asking what choices do I make? They're self-evident.
mm,
I believe in this. I stand for this. I 100%, let's say freedom of speech. Okay, well, to either suppress my voice and submit myself to cancel culture or whatever the wacky shit is, or I speak my truth and accept the consequences. I don't need to fucking ask anybody what that choice is going to be. My values and my vision dictate it.
Yeah, and yeah, Darun, that resonates with me, what you said as well, because like, and Andrew, it's because it's like that's how it feels like. It feels like the more I try, right, the more I enter suffering, to do it, and to try to make myself make a choice, there, and then when I try that, it just feels like I'm entering suffering, and
Well, there's an important thing is that the five tenets are in an order. They're ordinal, meaning it's an ordered list. The, as in steps. You see like the question marks. Step one, stop. Step two, whatever it is. Tell the truth. Feel whatever. What is that? What is that order?
Stop, feel, truth, responsibility, choice.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Just making sure. Yes. So I wanted to see if there was numbers. And so yeah, it is. It's ordered. One, two, three, four, five. So here, I'm just going to read this. The five tenets are stopping, feeling, truth, responsibility, choice. Not only is this a list, but it tells you exactly how to get unstuck. When read as a sentence, they reveal the instructions. Stop, feel, tell the truth, take responsibility, and make a new choice. It's in that order. Because what if you make a new choice, but you haven't told the truth? Or you don't know the truth? Now you're making a choice based off distortions. What if you make a new choice and you haven't stopped the old behavior? What if you make a new choice and you haven't felt or you can't feel? And so you're making a choice from your head or data, but not from feeling. What if you make a new choice without taking responsibility first? Blaming somebody else, making a choice based off of blame. The root's like, I never thought of it that way.
you're right. I probably do need to read the book again then.
Yeah.
But in the sense that I suppose, how does vision fall into that? Like,
Well, your vision's attached to what you stand for. Well,
okay,
let's look at the book. That's what this calls for. What your life has stood for. From now on, defining vision. Yeah, I know I talk about this. It's here in the book. Okay. What has my life stood up for? What has my life stood for up until now? These aren't your ideals, but your actual values based off of the evidence, based off of the results in your life, right? You can't just say, well, I stand for cooperation when your whole life is based off of competition, right? So I have clients come in and I'm like, I say things like, you want this. I don't want this. No, I don't want this. Well, you keep choosing it and you keep choosing this for months and years. So obviously you want this more than any of the other choices, any of the other options, because you keep choosing it. So you have to, if you can't get past that, if you can't accept it, you say, okay, well, I want this. Okay. I want conflict. I want suffering. I want poverty. I want struggle. Well, what's the next logical question any decent functional person is going to ask? Anybody?
Why do you want that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Why?
Yeah.
But if you can't accept that, if you can't try it on, if you can't say, okay, well, obviously I want this in some sort of way, maybe subconsciously, because this is what I keep choosing. It's not just what happens. It's like I literally keep getting this result. Well, then if you don't do that, you can't ask, why do I want this? It's in that why do I want this that's going to reveal something. It's taking responsibility. In saying that, okay, I want this because that's what I keep choosing. Okay, well, that's taking responsibility. And in that, it's going to reveal, why do I want this? Well, I want this because I don't feel like I'm enough. I want this because trusting you is terrifying. I want this because my dreams are even more scary. I'm choosing this because what I really want to do, I've only been rejected thus far in doing it, whatever it is. So it's going to reveal something so important, right? The whole purpose of saying that is to show that this is a choice. Okay. So here's a good list based on your current situation, right? So look around you, look at your life. Have you stood for scarcity or abundance, beauty or ugliness, efficiency or excess, trust or skepticism, yourself or others, ease and grace or struggle, fighting or surrender, forgiveness or revenge, being right or the truth, playfulness or seriousness, intimacy or protection, creativity or emulation. That's an interesting one. Creativity or emulation. You look at our fucking social media world, TikTok, all this fucking wacky shit they're doing, it's all emulation. It's not creative. There's one spark of creativity and about 1 million people copy it. It's really gross. Fear or courage, bullying or uplifting, freedom or security, comfort or growth, joy or suffering, order or chaos, community or the individual. You may notice that these aren't necessarily polar concepts. They're not necessarily a dualistic match. Because it's not just about, do you stand for good or bad? The right way or the wrong way? There's a reason not all of these are just the right way or the wrong way. At some point, you're going to stand for ease, right? Maybe kneel, right? Maybe you've fucking put your fucking self through the ringer for 10 years. And right now, you just want some comfort. You want some ease. Okay, great. Right now, you're standing for comfort. Okay. Well, you also perhaps might be struggling, right? So maybe there's also standing for struggle. So why I'm saying this is this list is to make you think and to feel into it, not to tell you which one's the good one or the bad one for you to value or not to value. You have to figure this out on your own. Now, I can tell you certain things work better, other things don't work as much. And if you don't believe me, well, let's have you move and find out. All right. So immediately after that, guess what I write? I say, there are no right answers. Each one serves a specific purpose at a particular time, and some will vary depending on their context. Even the more negative seeming ones can teach or lead us to something we could not have arrived at otherwise. Remember, everything serves, even what doesn't. All right, so defining vision. This is 2 pages later. In order to go where you want to go, you need a vision. Without a definite vision, you do not have a definite future. After stopping all the stories, the freed up energy is likely to get misdirected again unless you have a vision. So as you start doing this work, you free up all this energy that was once tied up with suffering. It wants to go somewhere. Something similar to idle hands make the devil's play kind of thing. Otherwise, you are relegated to take whatever comes at you, living a life of reactivity rather than directed activity. This is a good book. Otherwise, you are relegated to take whatever comes at you, living a life of reactivity rather than directed activity. I mean, that could be a fucking class just in that sentence. What's the point of getting unstuck when tomorrow you end up back in the same spot? This is why people without vision return to being stuck. Our vision gives our creative force direction with the power of will. What is vision? Vision is the embodied future you see for yourself, those in your life, and the world. That was probably that took a long time to figure out how to define it in just one sentence. Vision is the embodied future you see for yourself, those in your life, and the world. When you guys read this book, reread this book, assume that every word that I choose and write is for a reason. We're going to do this at some point. Just paragraph by paragraph in this book. It's just very, very dense. So what I mean by this is vision is the embodied, right? So keyword embodied. It's not a mental fantasy. It's not a hope and a dream outside of you. It's embodied. How do we know about this? Cinesomatics, right? We're going to be doing a workshop next month, Cinesomatic Life Map, where literally that one word embodied, whoosh, hyperlink, double click, 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 is that workshop. All right. So the embodiment of your vision is what that entire weekend workshop is about. Future, right? It's forward, it's in front of you. Your vision isn't about your past. That you see, your vision isn't what somebody else sees for you. Even that fucking word you. You go through this book and you actually read it to this level that I'm talking about here, you are going to get millions of dollars worth of value. I get something from it, even just reading my own book. Why? Because a lot of this came through to write it. I had to learn a lot in order to write this. So it's you. You see it, not your parents, not your partner, not the government. You. that you see for yourself, right? How's your life going to look? Who did we have? We had Danielle yesterday in the call. She talked about her vision was completely direct, uh, uh, um, aligned, oriented. Her map was oriented around her children. So the next phrase is those in your life. So that would apply there. But the first in that order, in that order, right, was missing you, her, in the world. So we can see this at three layers. Your vision. Most people stop there. Well, I take that back. I stop there. I'll speak for myself. Um, Living a very narcissistic life, living a very dysfunctional life. Everything was about how can I just get functional? How can I make enough money? How can I, right? My vision up until a few years ago was literally 95% about me and like 5% about the hot girl I would want to be with, right? This very just narrow focused, very self-centered, not necessarily narcissistic completely, but just very self-directed. Now you have to have that, right? Because you don't want to martyr yourself. You can say, "Oh, my vision is for everyone else to be happy but me." That's not going to work. Then you have the next layer, the people in your life, right? Your partner, your family, this immediate unit, and then your community. This localized vision. What's your vision for the people that you love? You can have a vision for them. Now, it may not be their vision for themselves, and you have to respect that. But oftentimes, if we have a very large vision, we can also see a vision for those around us and those that we love. Now, it's our vision. This is getting a little advanced here, but there's a two-part in this, and it can be our projection, right? We can project what we think would be great for that person, what we would like for them. And then the more advanced one is to actually read their energy and to see what their vision is for themselves and access their true self and amplify that, which is mostly what I do for you guys, clients on the calls. I'm plugging in and feeling what your vision is deeper past your stories. And I can't see something that doesn't exist, right? So if you don't have a vision at all, I'm not going to see much, right? But I plug into that and hold that vision for you, even if you don't for yourself, right? Even if you are insecure, don't feel like you're worthy, you have your stories, you don't value yourself. So I'm holding that vision for you. I have no attachment to it. I'm not forcing it on you. I'm just holding that vision. But when that goes bad is when parents do that for their children and say, "This is what I want for your life." It's like bad news, Badgers. And then the next layer is of the world. This is the world, humanity as a whole. What is your vision for humanity? It's a different layer. It has a different feeling than just those that you love and know, right? So, for example, I just use this because it's a very obvious one. Elon Musk wants to take us to Mars, right? He has that vision for humanity. He's not just saying, "Oh, well, I want to just take my family to Mars." No, he wants to literally move humanity forward. You can like him or not. You can think that's a terrible idea or not. Doesn't matter. Point is, he has that vision for humanity. So these are the three different sort of layers where you can make sure that you have all of those, right? As the example, if you are martyring yourself, you make sure you have to include you first. No, it's your life because every single individual person around you has their own vision for themselves. And then everyone else out in the world does as well. And so you get more advanced in this process in what is your ability to affect change through that scale, through that order. The most is yourself, right? And then it's a lot less, like, I mean, a huge fall off for those that you know and love. And then again, massive fall off for the world, humanity in general. Your ability to affect change at the scale of humanity requires you to be something much bigger, embodied energetically, than when you just affect change for your own little tiny little life. This is really great. We haven't really talked about this before. This is cool to dive into it at this level. And so you can see where you're missing if you look at that. You get to see, okay, well, it's only about me. Okay, all right, well, let's add in my partner, add in my parents, my family. What does it feel like to have a vision for someone you love? Who's a parent? Right? Two parents, right? So you have an experience of a vision for your children, and their future. It's going to be very different than someone who's YOLO, right? You only live once, Glenn. You only live once. Carpe diem, right? Seize the day. Today's the day. This instant gratification culture, this disposable culture, this consumerist culture does not think about tomorrow. When you have children, I don't, but I still can imagine. When you have children, you start caring about their future too, if you're not an absolute psychopath. So then for that even can go into the world, humanity. What kind of future of humanity in the world? What vision do you have for that? For yourself and for those that you love, because each one encompasses the prior, right? You, those you love, your community, world consciousness. You can say the world consciousness, humanity, the universe, right? You can scale up, but you guys see that picture. All right, so that was, I don't know how long that was, but that was all in one sentence. That's the amount of thought and density that when I wrote this book, I had putting in sentences like that. So I was thinking stuff like that, either consciously or subconsciously, to write that one sentence. So when I say to people, this is a good fucking book, it has, if you want to get unstuck, it's all in here in some way, somehow. You guys will be amazed. In 5 years, you're going to read this book again and say, holy shit, I had no idea any of this was in there.
We'll all be reading from Mars, Andrew.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's your vision. Vision is what pulls your future towards you. That sentence, very powerful. I didn't say it's a projection into a non-existent screen. Vision is what pulls your future towards you. So what pulls you towards your future? It is the inevitable. Nope. It's incorrect. Very important. It is the eventual manifestation of what you stand for, who you are, how you live, and what you choose to create. Your vision is what you envision your life to look like. Your mission is your how, and your purpose is your why. Does that make sense? Your vision is what you want your life to look like. Your mission is your how. How are you going to do it? Right? What does that look like? You're Elon Musk. Okay, Mars. That's the vision. What's the mission? Well, create fucking rocket ships and all this shit. All right. What's your purpose? His purpose is to make us an interplanetary species because one asteroid is going to wipe humanity off. of existence. So like existential threat, and probably very inspiring to do that, and whatever else. So that's just an illustration of what that could look like. Vision is not to be confused with a daydream. This is why people struggle to manifest their desires. They are daydreaming, not choosing. All right, so you hear the word choose in connection with vision. Your vision is not a fantasy that you hope will happen. It's what you see when you look forward into your future. Your future is the result of your thoughts, choices, and actions. It is not later in time. It is the inevitable result of what you are embodying now. This is why next month, when we do this somatic life map workshop, how when you do the movement, when you do the synesthetic movement, and I see what you're embodying, it is a crystal ball into the future of what's actually going to happen. It's pattern recognition. Is there some magic into it? Yes. But ultimately, pattern recognition. If you're embodying it now, and this is how you're showing up now, your future comes from now. So if you just keep doing what you're doing now and how you're embodying now, it's a really safe bet that unless something catastrophic happens, this is what your life is going to be like. I can predict the future through people's body movement. Very uncanny. And anyone else can too if they knew how to do it. You can look at the past, right? You look at the past and you can see, oh, all right, that choice in the past. Sorry, I got a foot cramp all of a sudden. How someone is showing up now also lets me see their past. Say, all right, well, if you're sitting here now with low self-esteem, if you're scared, if you're anxious, I can tell you probably the things that led to that. So your vision is not out there outside of you in a time that does not exist. Your vision is found within you now. Your eyes. If you didn't have eyes now in your body, you couldn't see in front of you. When you eventually get to where you want to be, it will then be considered now. You arrive to now, the present moment. You don't arrive to the future. You never get to the future. Once you get to the future, it's now. That's why the name of the chapter is called Arriving to Now. You're not arriving to the future. And so the essence of that is to understand that it's what you're embodying here that is creating your future. It's not something you're waiting around for, and it's just gonna bink, 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 doo, 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 right? You get to change what that outcome is with every new choice that you make. How do you know what choices to make? Your vision will tell you. Your mission, right? Your purpose, all that stuff. So what are you guys hearing?
That was phenomenal. Yeah, hearing a lot. I can't wait to rewatch it. I feel like there's so many things in what you just said. You know, um, like each one, like so many things that, yeah, it's a lot for me to reflect on.
Great, good.
For me, Andrew, it's really apparent that I didn't double click on tell the truth and take responsibility, and I never really applied it to seeing my life at the moment and being really honest about the results of my life and the choices I've made to get here, and that will make it very self-evident that what my vision what is currently, and then the new choices will be inherent to that. Um, it'll be a lot easier to make, or a lot clearer to make the new choices, because I first need to start telling the truth about where I am right now, all the shit choices I've made, and why am I getting the results I am right now. And I never really, I wanted to skip that bit make new choices and give me that vision without really having an honest look about, hang on, like, how did I get here? What am I making? What are the choices I'm making for? What are the choices I'm making? What am I actually currently standing for? And I haven't really gotten clear on that part yet. And that is the step that I need to take in that 5-step process before I can get clear on what new choices I have to make. How do I know? I'm not even clear about the current choices I'm making right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'm hearing that, who we are is who we're becoming, based on our intentionality. And by having this life map, we basically apply all of that intentionality to the future, which at that point will become now. So it's almost like you are trying to extrapolate things and then embody those things so that you recognize them when you actually experience them, so that you can both create and become aware of when it's happening.
You say that in a different way?
I'm not sure,
Okay.
but I can try. um,
Go into the feeling. You're thinking
okay.
about it in your head. Go into the
Yeah.
feeling. Let it come to you. Don't try to manufacture something. Just find the feeling and then let that feeling speak through you.
You reap what you sow, I guess,
Good.
in a sense.
Yeah.
But you also recognize yourself in what you're creating. And the life map is a way for us to do that in a more tangible way.
Yeah, it's interesting. Um, the element for you that really keeps standing out is recognition of it. Um, yeah. So just reflect on that. What is it about you um, being able to see it, be able to recognize these things? Because that's I didn't I didn't talk about that. Um, that could be a blind spot for me because I don't I guess I don't really feel like I wouldn't recognize it when it's my choice. Um, if I make that choice and it's my vision, I think it'll be it's been pretty obvious. And if it's not pretty obvious, it becomes obvious once I feel it. If you're, okay, so here's a good point. If you're caught up in the image of it rather than the feeling of it, it may be challenging because it might not match it. So in my current relationship, I had an image of uh, what sort of fantasy my partner would look like. And when she showed up, I was like, oh, she does not match that image at all. But the feeling was like, yes. So I had a conflict between my image of what I thought I wanted and then the feeling, right? The feeling was a match, but the image wasn't. And so I had to figure that out. And I candidly struggled with that. Um, and I kept trusting the feeling. The feeling is it. I mean, I went into the jungles of the Amazon and did shamanistic stuff, and it's like, you idiot, just feel like you're aligned to the wrong thing. The feeling is it. Because I said it's not what I thought it would look like. It's like, well, what does it feel like? Yeah, I feel it's like, okay, well, then stop. What are you doing? So I think that could be really helpful in recognizing it, in that distinction between the two. I don't think that's in the book. Um, there's a lot that's not in the book too. Um, but as that happens, it's important to that's why feeling is so important, because it's not just about feeling emotions. It's about processing. It's about relating to ourselves in life through feeling. It's not live in your head. All right, here come the feelings. Boop, feel them. All right, come back here. Hello, everybody. Da-da-da-da. All right, that's the feelings. All right, let's look at the feelings. Come back up. No, you drop down here and you go. Move through the world down here, right? Like feeling isn't just about processing emotions. Feeling is about moving through the world in that place. So making sure that comparing and recognizing the images, that's okay. That's fine, right? Oh gosh, I'm gonna butcher this, but it's something like there's some great quote. I believe maybe it's the troubadours in medieval times, but it's something like the eyes are mm, I'm gonna butcher it. It's like the eyes are the antenna for the heart. Something like this. Like the eyes find the beauty, but it's the love. It's not something like this. I told you I was going to butcher it, but you get the sentiment, right? It's like the eyes look out for it, but what they're looking for isn't about the looking, it's about the heart, it's about the love. And in this example, it's the feeling. So you look for it, you look around for it, but also feel around for it. And there might be conflict. And if there's a conflict, trust the feeling. If your feeling is trustable, right? It has that caveat of it has to be your real feeling. It can't be your distortion stories, traumas, myths, all this wacky shit that's distorting and clouding your intuition. Everything that I say rests upon accuracy. Right? It rests upon actually the definitions that are the actual definitions and doing it actually. So if you are reacting and hysterical and um, avoiding your feeling, but you call that feeling, then it's not going to work. None of this is going to work. And you're going to say, well, that's fucking bullshit. This feeling shit is wackadoodle. I can't trust anything, right? How do I know the difference? I have to look because I can't trust that. And so I'm constantly comparing and threat assessing and hypervigilant because I'm on the lookout for this bad thing to happen again. You don't need to do that once you can actually feel. But in order to get there, you have to go through this whole healing process of feeling safe and trusting and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you can see I've just levels, tangents, we can go in so many directions and it's all connected. So people that are just like, oh, that book's long. Oh, how come you can't just give me the 6 steps to enlightenment? How come? I mean, it's just it's not complicated, but it's complex. It's not. Yeah, that's about it. It's not necessary to give more analogies. You get the picture. It's what my feeling was telling me. Okay. All right. Any last words? Over time.
Thank you so much, Andrew. That was phenomenal. I think well worthy a rewatch.
Yeah, I'll
And
probably take that bit of reading the book and I'll put that up on YouTube. think there's some good stuff in there.
And thank you, Gina, for being the catalyst for this whole conversation. And it's so lovely that you have the courage to share. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here and for holding space, and Andrew for having this community. So lovely to be here. Thank you.
All right. See you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you. Good
Bye.
night.
Bye.
Bye.